Hello, today is New Year's Eve, 2016, December 31st, Saturday. Okay, so, alright, I'm going to tell you why I didn't build a show drive this year. Let's go ahead and open up Firefox. Okay. So, oh, the camera's so close. Okay, let's just go ahead with it. Okay, so, switch hands. So this is the cell phone here. I've got the Media Avenue showing on here. And I've spent some time working with 3D animations to help depict the show drive. Now, the reason why I'm going to be using 3D animations, it's not so I can Photoshop the show drive working. It's because when the show drive works, I need to be able to clearly convey the reason why it works and where the energy comes from. And there's, it's not one of those things that has a preset order by which you start with one element to the next, because it's like a three-dimensional object, and unlike a two-dimensional thing or even a one-dimensional thing, there isn't really one way to start explaining it. So I want here's an example of why this is so important. In fact, I have some computer animations, some computer animation videos from other people put on this website of S.H.O.WIKI. And there's one of them, for example, classic physics education videos. This one's a really good one.
And that work started with the fact that electric current flowing through a long straight wire produces a magnetic field that circulates around the wire. But how does the strength of the field depend on the distance from the wire? If a tiny segment of electric current could exist, it would produce a magnetic field proportional to the inverse square of the distance. The direction of the field is related to the direction of the current by the right-hand rule, or the vector cross product. The field would be biggest when the current segment and distance vector are perpendicular. But electric currents can never exist in tiny segments. So any real magnetic field must be found by adding up or integrating the contributions due to each segment of a flowing current. The field, due to current flowing in a long straight wire, is always perpendicular to the wire and decreases as the inverse first power of the distance from the wire. The net result is a field that goes in circles. The lines of force are circles concentric with the wire, and the field is the same all the way around each circle. On the other hand, if the wire is bent around into a loop, the current flowing through it produces what is known as a dipole field. A helical winding, or solenoid, is like a stack of current loops. It creates a field much like that of a bar magnet. If the solenoid is bent around into a circle, the donut it forms is called a toroid. The magnetic field of a toroid is contained completely inside the windings. There are no field lines out. Therefore, since an electric current is nothing but moving electric charges, it follows then that flowing electric currents apply magnetic forces to each other. currents flowing in the same direction attract each other, and currents flowing in opposite directions repel each other. The magnetic field is both similar to and different from the electric field. In an electric field, no work is done if a charge is moved around any closed path and back to its starting point.
A static electric field.
Therefore, when starting from any point on any path and returning to the same point, the change in electric potential is always zero. Therefore, the line integral of the electric field around any closed path is always zero. This is a fundamental property of electric fields.
For static electric fields. Okay, so basically, alright, so that gives you an idea of what I'm thinking about doing for the SHO drive. So I'm going to do part of it before I build the SHO drive and part of it after. This is a much longer show down here, also on YouTube. Very awesome. And here's a newer type video. Again, very awesome. Okay, no meme pictures yet. Okay, so going on to different page. Okay, so all right. So basically, I'm a kind of a procrastinator. So what I do is I plan to do things, and I don't exactly do it according to plan. And so what I end up doing is I change the plan, and every time I fail to follow the plan, I modify the plan and I do something that I planned. But maybe it's the case that I can't plan everything in advance, and so that's kind of what happens when there's too much to plan. So, that being said, it gives you an idea of what I've been dealing with. Okay. December Avenue. So these are some of the recent videos I've done. This is the most recent one. I have to use Handbrake. Got to thank EV Blog for giving that presentation on how he does his videos. Very awesome. So now I can, it's going to be easier to upload these large videos. Okay, so this has some. Yeah, I got a faster phone now. It's actually a Huawei phone, the big one. I forgot which one it was. Actually, it's over here. All right, Black Friday deal, $50 during Black Friday. It's a Walmart phone. So yeah. It is a Huawei Ascend XT Android phone. Looks kind of like an iPhone. It's cool. iPhone Plus. Hopefully it doesn't gimp out on me. Alright, so anyway. Some of my equations, I'm not exactly sure how this should all work out. I mean, it's still kind of a draft and all. But yeah, I mean, if you didn't see everything, of course, there's the website at over here, right? Okay. All right. So, furthermore, all right. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what exactly is the reason behind the mechanisms. SHO.WIKI. There is the animation. Visit SHO.WIKI/3D to see the full page version of that animation. But I already got that loaded up here. So shaky. Oh, I don't have that loaded there. Come on, there it is. All right. Now you know it's actually online and not just on some. There we go. As you can see, it works on the phone, which is awesome. And it's HTML5 with WebGL using 3.js. So it's going to be really awesome when I get it all figured out. It's going to be like an interactive version of that video I just showed you. And it will explain a bit more. That's my goal, is to explain a bit more than what these videos already explain. And dealing with things like field densities, torque densities, Lorentz forces acting on magnetization currents and magnets, where does the kinetic energy come from? Why didn't people notice this before? How do you look at different parts of the field in space, different parts in space? What does the alignment or disalignment of these field vectors have to do with anything? What are some misconceptions about electromagnetism? What are the contentious issues? And believe it or not, there's a lot of contentious issues that are discussed regarding how magnetic fields should be represented. In fact, this is what I consider to be an authoritative source on such matters. I'm going to go ahead and tilt this way because it's just too small. Okay, I'm just too shaky. I'm going to use my other hand. All right. Okay, so basically, all right. This is from MIT. It's from Mr. Haas. I believe it's the same guy who used to be Randall Mills's professor, and Randall Mills is now CEO of Blacklight Power, and he's about to release the Sun Cell about next year or so. So this is his teacher, basically. His text or adapted from it or something, but you got to check it out at this website. You can browse the chapters and stuff. Okay. All right. So basically, here it talks about the force on a magnet, and I notice here there's this gradient of the H field, and often enough, people, when they represent a force on a magnetic dipole with magnetic moment M, where's that the magnetic moment M? Magnetic dipole consisting of positive and negative magnetic charges. Okay, so basically, what that's about is there's an issue regarding how, what is the force on a magnet, and there's actually disagreements on how to represent it. So now I'm kneeling, so it's a little bit easier. It just gives you an idea of what kind of, contentious natures there are about this. But I believe Mr. Haas is the authoritative one on this matter. And he discusses the things called Kelvin force density. That's like Kelvin, named after Lord Kelvin, I would say. Okay, so macroscopic force densities, Lorentz force density, Kelvin polarization force density. That's for electric dipoles. And then he extends that to this. Now, in a lot of cases, what they'll have is this gradient applying to the dot product of these things here. So instead of the triangle being here, it's going to be to the left of parentheses enclosing these vectors. But this guy apparently knows a bit more about electromagnetism. He keeps the gradient on the H At least that's as far as he describes the Kelvin force density. So apparently this is closer to the truth, taking basically it's the directional derivative of this product as a function of h. So yeah, very different than having the gradient outside the vectors and having the distributed property or whatever. I mean, not distributed property, but anyway. So there it is. The Lorentz Kelvin force densities, and then that's as well. Okay. Anyway, just on a side note, let's just see here. There's going to be a surprise later. Just notice the refrigerator at this apartment is called the Kelvinator. So that's just kind of an interesting thing. Okay. Now, here's the S.H.O drive information here. This is these are the values that I was using, but I made some corrections to them so that I can have these ends stick out to reflect the greater amount of wire that I had used. And so let's go ahead. That's that. I've discussed that before. All right. So this is something I just did a few days ago. You can see my name. It's also that. Okay. So anyway, flux linkage, magnetic flux linkage, reduced voltage, currents, work and power. So these are like over here. These are related to the co-energy. You see this diverges. Okay, so just to give you an idea, and there's some propagation error. I haven't quite figured out why it's appearing, so I have to use this to calibrate it, use the trend line, try to straighten it. Okay, so I don't think there's much time for that right now. Okay, so this is our S.H.O drive animation rendering on the local host here, a LAMP server. That's WAMP server. Just to give you an idea. Okay, there it is. WAMP server 64. Okay, there's the S.H.O drive logo. Oh dear. Okay, let's put this back. All right, and this is the code for it. Not an octopus, so there we go. Heptapod or whatever. Okay. 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 Let's see, what else? Okay. Alright, so my side project here, or backup plan. In case the SHO drive doesn't work, I can still do a few things with my life. Okay, so this is the Smallocracy rendering that I just did. I kind of, got a little bit frustrated trying to figure out proper lighting and stuff. I still haven't figured out the shadows of this thing, of how to do this, but it's an animation. Actually, I'll do a cursor over here or something. Okay, so yeah, so this is the code. Of course, I could do a screenshot, but I'm actually going to show you like the rest of the house and stuff later. There's some really interesting things this new year. I'm trying to figure out some stuff, but that's okay. And all right, so I'll have a little bit of fun here with this animated. Woo! So this is kind of an idea of what it looks like. I still have to optimize geometries of the buildings. I'm just going to be like, I'm going to be rendering some sky bridges. Actually, there are going to be suspension bridges that are anchored to the ground, and there's going to be a lot of places down here, like yards, private yards. So the way it would work, basically, the idea is to reduce the cost of building cities while maximizing pretty much what people, whether they're in rural areas or urban areas, what they like from a city. And so then there's this physical separation between urban and rural oriented people. They're often geographically separated, and kind of like this would be kind of like a melting pot of the urban and rural and suburban people, because there would be all kinds of interesting things. Now, this is not to be confused with a lot of the public housing projects that kind of look like this, like have like these things called panel houses. Like in a lot of the communist countries, they have those things, and try to like deviate away from the look of it a little bit, but while still having some extra features. Now, without the communism. So basically what it is, you'd have private developers and local institutions that would come together, and they try to figure out how to save money and reduce debt and so on. And so one of the things you can do is not build roads, because there's a lot of subsidies that go into making suburbs possible. Now, I do like homes like this, and they're big, not like an urban area where they're like really cramped. Urban areas, though, they have a lot of activity, but there's also like lots of dark alleys and stuff. And personally, I don't like alleys, or even for that matter, apartment corridors inside buildings. So you'll notice here that there are no, well, actually not quite yet, but there are no inside corridors. They're all outdoors. So this is like an outdoors-oriented, high-density complex, and people will have their own yards. Now, except, like, the thing is, like, not everybody needs a yard or wants a yard, so those that want a yard can get it. Now, not everybody who wants to live in the suburbs cares about their yard. So you see in a lot of suburbs, there's a lot of unkempt yards, because it's kind of like bundled up with their homes, whether they like that or not. But a lot of people just sometimes like having a yard even if they don't maintain it. Here, basically what you do is people can own yards in this place called Smallocracy, or in this case is like a Smallocracy Project 1.0. And so if they can build a unit in one of these towers for 12 months without any issues, then that opens the door for them to purchase a plot of land outright, and then they can build whatever cottage and stuff, and that would be their backup. So, because that would be cheaper, inherently cheaper, just like, building in the country tends to be cheaper than building in the city. So that's their backup, and, then once they pay that off, then they can start buying outright the loft units, because basically the plot of land serves as kind of a proof that you're going to be, interested in being there in a while. So, yeah, so let's say they get laid off or something, then they have the little house or cottage or whatever they chose to build on their yard, as a backup. And let's say they don't have that problem, their children go to college, but they want to stay close to home without being at home, then they can move to those yards down there. They would be away from home, and yet they would still, in a way, be connected to their family. So that will, I'm sure, appeal to a lot of people, because I'm sure cottages are not as expensive as lofts, and a lot of people can't afford nice lofts because of various issues like with pricing and land cost. And here we're actually not using that much land at all for the towers, and that is on purpose. Now, where are the roads? There's no roads. You would have suspension bridges connecting these towers, and of course I'll have to kind of orient these a little bit better to make that work, but I don't want it too symmetrical, because then it looks like, like in the communist country where they're all like uniform and like very cookie cutter. I mean, there needs to be a theme. Each of these are a district, but there needs to be a theme without having too much cacophony. It needs to be like a symphony of buildings, but so it can't just be like repetitive and just like beat, 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 beat. No one listens to a song that's just beat, beat, beat. So, yeah. So this is going to be really cool if I can get it to work and get it animated and have characters and stuff, rolling around here to kind of explain a bit better how this would work out. And as much as the president or president-elect has some issues, I always figured, well, regardless of somebody's personal issues, you could perhaps take some advantage of the fact that there are some positive attributes that you could probably exploit if you wanted to. He likes to obviously build a lot of buildings. He wants to rebuild America. So if that's an opportunity to propose Smallocracy right after I propose a show drive, then, I would figure as a pragmatic emphasis, that's probably a good idea. So now the thing with this is you'll have some semi-public transportation that connects multiple districts. So like there's actually going to be some extra towers in the middle. There's commercial and light industrial. Light industrial could be just packaging candy or something, or warehousing, or Amazon type stuff like what they do. If you've ever seen their videos. And then there would be like small passenger pods that there's no way they could be like 90% empty and carry somebody, because they would have like 2 seats or up to 4 seats or something, like no more than a car. And they'd be on rails, so they would glide over easily without interrupting people's yards and stuff. And of course there should be privacy curtains or something, so people don't look in their yards while they're on the train. And they would connect different districts to each other, and it would be all over the land. And people people owning yards that they can see like the entirety of from their balconies, and there's going to be some balconies, I'm sure. These platforms, I believe, will be where the stairs are going to be. The stairs would have chair lifts, and the chair lifts would help, alleviate the cost of elevators that are, can be expensive to maintain. Imagine maintaining all of these elevators. So the only normal elevators would be in the hub region, which would be over in the center, once I, put that there. And hub regions would be connected, and there would be so much space saved. If you're going to have roads, they may as well be raceways or drag strips or something. Something entertaining, something fun. Maybe some Hot Wheels thing, like on the Hot Wheels YouTube channel, they have a lot of interesting tracks that apparently are not feasible yet, but would be really awesome if they can build it. Definitely a first world problem, if not a zeroth world problem or desire to have. But that would be really, really, really cool, and I'm not opposed to that at all, as long as we can take care of our other needs like energy. I have these dreams that, there's a future that doesn't have all these same problems. We might have different kind of problems. We might still annoy each other, but, we won't have the same problems. We'll have a lot more fun, I think. If we if we're smart, robots may take our jobs, but we'll have more fun creating different jobs than we had before. If not, well, then we'll just sit in couches because we don't have imagination. But obviously we do, so that's not going to be a problem. Okay, so what else can we say about this? Okay, so let's go back out. Yeah, I think I covered that. So basically, it's New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2016, and it's too bad I couldn't have finished the SHO drive like I had wanted to. Now, one of the things I had in mind, one of the ideas I had here is, get a wet erase marker. And this was kind of like one of those other ideas I had. And I would just, write on here, like a board, to kind of explain certain things about the SHO drive and, how it works and stuff. But maybe computer animations would be better. Anyway, I just noticed that, this rod, shower rod, could be a good place to show the SHO drive demonstrating its power in the shower, if that makes any sense. And if it catches on fire, we could just probably scoop up some water and pour it on there, but that's electrical, so that's kind of stupid, but if anything else is on fire, get an idea. I'm still not sure if it gets hot or too hot, or if it, can get cold or whatever. I'm trying to figure out what exactly is it, because I've heard of things where people would get their wires frosted, like they'll do things with electricity that makes their wires so cold that it not only condensates the humidity, it freezes it. Maybe that's more like just something you would expect, say, when you depressurized canned air or whatever is in that can that's used to clean computers, and it gets cold because of the rapid expansion. Maybe that's what's going on with those. I'm not sure yet. But maybe there is some transduction of energy or something. I'm not quite sure yet. But over the past day or so, I'm kind of leading in the direction that it will just get hot based upon the current you have flowing through it. And of course, you might say, obviously. But we'll see. And if so, then I have some issues to deal with, because if I'm going to have the acrylic rods transparency allow you to see the SHO drive, I don't want it to get so hot that it catches on fire. That would be kind of stupid. And then I have to get the fire extinguisher and just, right? But I'll take care of that. And if it gets cold, that it would be so freaking awesome. It'd be like the Kelvinator. Okay, so all the stuff that I just had land in my lap today, thank goodness I decided to take out the trash, and thank goodness the trash people actually don't take out the trash for some reason for the past few weeks. It hasn't even been emptied in who knows how long. But yeah, this is very, 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 very good, because we've got a neighbor that's just is about to move out. He's going to be on like a civilian duty or something. So this is I'm going to have to clean all this stuff, but I've got pretty much a whole bunch of pots and stuff. This is going to be really cool. Got a new cabinet, a coffee table. I was missing a coffee table. I was missing a couch. I was missing a microwave. I was wanting to get a light stand. I had plenty of pots as it is, but who knows if I need them. I was wanting a waffle iron, and there it is, waffle iron. That's awesome. And blender. Never had a blender. This drying rack. I don't like using drying racks, so I'm going to use that to sort papers. And that rice cooker I've already had. This is a bathroom stand. It's really good to have that. The one that I had in the previous apartment kind of went kaput, and so it's kind of like being used for this extra storage here. So yeah, awesome, and you can see the address, I bet. So anyway, not living there. So anyway, what else is new? Oh yeah, the year, of course. Let's see what we're doing here. Menu. Oh no, inputs. Input. I need more inputs. Come on.
Oh, I love it. It looks so
Come on,
wonderfully
man.
even, and it covered up this. They kill 99.9% of germs, including E. coli, to clean and disinfect in and out of the toilet. Lysol that. Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we...
When the Brexit referendum sent index down 610 points in a single day. Market players say hopes for the incoming Trump administration are likely to remain high for some time. They say some investors have been alarmed by the rapid stock gains since Trump has released no concrete policies. Many are waiting to see January's earnings reports by major companies. A social media craze in which people pose as clothing dummies has reached outer space. Crew members on the International Space Station have joined the mannequin challenge in zero gravity. A French astronaut aboard the ISS posted a video to Twitter on Friday saying, "We got the whole crew together and took the mannequin challenge to new heights." In the video, the crew keep their bodies rigid.
Okay, so you get the idea there. Alright, so that should be it for now. Yeah, I was actually thinking about building the show drive today, but I've been trying to be kind of laid back over the holidays because my company that I work for has taken a break for 2 weeks, and so we're getting to the end of that. So yeah. Anyway. So, that is all for today. I would like to thank you for your time and have a wonderful rest of your year, and Happy New Year 2017. I still work for this camera, right?